What's up everyone, my name is Max and today we'll be taking a look at the 9525 Previzular's Mandalorian fighter. I wanted to do another interview today, but that said it didn't work out. It's nothing related to the guest I wanted to have on, it was just poor planning on my part. I'll have the guy on next week, but today I'll review this set. This was voted on by the people on my second channel again. I'm approaching 500 subs and as soon as we'll get there, all those votes will happen here. If you have any video ideas or suggestions though, drop them in the comments, I'm always happy to read those. Now though, I'll stop stalling, remember to hit the like and subscribe button, and please excuse my poor English, I'm no native speaker. So let's start with this set's basic information. This set originally released in summer of 2012 and went out of production in late 2013. Since it came out in that time frame, it was also part of the dark blue box art line with ball in the corner. The original retail price of this one was $50 or £50, I don't know the price in euros. If we were to adjust that for inflation, $50 back in 2012 would now be about $61. That's an increase of about 22%. It came with a total piece count of 403 pieces, including 3 minifigures, with only a single one of them being exclusive to the set. A piece count of 103 together with a retail price of $50 puts us at about 12 cents a piece in 2012 and around 15 cents nowadays. Now, I'm not a big fan of judging sets by cents per piece, but 15 cents is quite hefty to be honest. I couldn't find the design of this set, and as much as I yell at LEGO for not putting their designers' names in the description, I can't be too mad this time since this set is 10 years old. Still though, LEGO, start putting the names in the descriptions please. But now that we wrapped up with all the basic information, let's get into further details, starting with this set's minifigures.
This lightsaber was stolen from your Jedi temple by my ancestors during the fall of the Old Republic. Since then, many Jedi have died upon its blade. Prepare yourself to join them.
The first figure we'll look at today is our man Obi-Wan Kenobi. As you can see, this figure doesn't have a whole lot of detail on it, the legs are plain and the torso isn't nearly as detailed as one would have wanted it to be. All you really have is this bit of armor up here, his belt at the bottom and some wrinkles. Additionally, there's also no back printing. The face, well, it exists. The beard in itself isn't bad, but it's quite awkward that it just cuts off before it even gets to the hair. Of course, the eyes are in the classic Clone Wars style, which they thankfully stopped using after 2014. Now, you could excuse all of this by saying, oh, this figure is old, and in all fairness, this is the same version they used since 2008. But you can't tell me this is not a bad figure when they were able to produce a figure like Darth Malgus in the same year. The quality between those figures is just worlds apart. It would have simply needed some back and leg printing and the quality of this figure would have drastically improved. The next figure we'll look at today is Previzular. Here again, before I'm getting into any details, I just want to preface that this amazing figure wasn't the same set as that ObiWan, so I want to hear no excuses. Now though, let's look at the legs. They have no toe printing, but you'll be able to spot the knee armor with some blue printing over them. Above them, there's some more grey armor pieces. There's no hip printing, but the torso does look really nice. At the bottom, you can spot his belt over the dark blue base with some wrinkles in it. The chest armor looks good as well, with the center part being blue, unlike on the normal Death Watch soldiers. It would have probably worked better though if they had printed the armor in a gunmetal grey, because that way it would have matched the helmet better. He's got no back printing, but it isn't needed here either, since it's covered up by his jetpack anyways. Besides his jetpack, he also wears a smaller cape on his right. Mine isn't as smooth as it originally comes as, but you can still see the VIZSLA logo and the darker straps under it. On his helmet, he's rocking the VIZSLA logo as well, and the blue highlights under his visor bring some more color into the helmet. The decision to go with the gunmetal grey as the helmet color is a good one in my opinion, and under the helmet we have a face that was specifically made for this figure. Again, in the weird Clone Wars style, but at least it's different to the normal Death Watch figures and has only been reused once since 2014. Overall, a nice figure and also one of the most expensive Star Wars figures there is.
You three, stop him.
And the last figure we'll look at today is the Death Watch Warrior. This is the same version that also appeared in the Mandalorian Battle Pack 1 year prior. Just like Obi-Wan, he also uses plain legs, but unlike Obi-Wan, he has a quite detailed torso. At the bottom you can see a belt, very similar to Previzular's one, but on this guy we also have some brown highlights. Another difference to Vizsla is the center part of the chest armor, which is grey here. He's missing any type of back printing, but it would be completely covered by the jetpack anyways. The helmet was introduced 2 years earlier with Boba Fett and is also the only time we've ever seen it in dark grey. The blue and light grey highlights on it add more detail, and overall it's just just a very nice piece to look at. Under the helmet we have the standard Mandalorian face. It admittedly doesn't look very good, but was a nice difference to the normal clone faces at the time. In conclusion, it's a really nice figure for army building, unlike any of the newer Mandalorians. Now though, let's move away from the figures and onto the actual build. And here we have the build. As you can see, it's quite tall in this position, and my version is also just a lot more yellow than it should be, but let's start at the back of the ship. Back here we have a bunch of stuff going on. First up, of course, you can see this little rotatable turret right here. There aren't really any special features to it, except that it's able to spin 360 degrees. A little further upwards, there's this hatch, and this hatch actually takes up the entirety of the back, as you can see. If I open it, you'll be able to spot a little crate with a printed lid on it. Now, getting the thing out of there would be a little complicated, but thankfully there's another hatch on the bottom of the ship that can release the crate. The cockpit itself is quite a bit longer than on most other ships. If we look on the inside, you can also recognize why it's longer. It's a two-seater. We get two Mandalorians in the set, so it makes sense for there to be two seats, and both of them fit in there pretty easily. In front, there's this little control panel, and if we close the cockpit up, you can see that the figures don't block the windshield piece in any way. The piece itself has some stickering on it, but something a little bothering are these gaps on both sides of the cockpit. It's nothing too major, but something a lot of people also complain about on the newer model. Arriving at the front of the ship, we have these two guns that you can move, but it looks really awkward, so I just leave them in place. The wings are both identical. They have some very nice brick build detail on them, and on the back they also have the exact same engines with the neon yellow nicely contrasting the rest of the colors. On the underside of the fighter, we have the same detailing that's also on top of the wings, but in front of the middle part there's some landing gear. Alone, this thing is extremely useless, but something I haven't mentioned yet is that the entire back part as well as the wings are movable. So let's say you wanted to display the set in its landing position, you would take out the landing gear and then fold the wings up. Now they're in landing position and the engines work as extra legs. Something worth mentioning is that you also have to fold each of them up. They're not connected, but it's only like 2 seconds of extra work, so nothing too annoying. Now we're back in flying position. As I mentioned, you can also rotate the entire back part, which means if I pick the set up, I can rotate the wings into this position. Of course, the in-universe model can also do that, so it's really nice that they included that feature here as well. And now I can just move them back into their original position, pull out the landing gear, fold up the wings, and voila, it's back in its landing position. I think it's really nice that it's this easy to switch between these positions, and that also wraps up today's review for me to move on to the final verdict. Now, unlike last time, I didn't spoil my opinion on the set in the first 30 seconds, so I can ask my usual question: what do I think of the set? I kinda like it. It's definitely not a bad build, but there are better ones definitely. Of course, I'm a little biased because my version simply looks like shit, but even outside of that, it doesn't look as good as something like the Sith Fury class interceptor. Now, it may be unfair to compare these two, but I did it anyway. Another big draw for this set is of course the exclusive Previzular. I honestly don't get why the figure is so expensive. I get that it's the only time the character ever appeared in a LEGO set, but it really isn't such a great figure, at least in comparison to a figure like Darth Malgus from the same year. Of course, you also have to keep in mind that the set isn't gonna cost you $50 anymore if you want to get it nowadays. The cheapest sealed one on Bricklink goes for about $220 currently. That is more than 4 times the original price of the set, and considering there's a newer, much cheaper version out on the market right now, I can't recommend buying this set in good faith, honestly. And that's why I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 with no buying recommendation. So, that wraps up today's review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more of me, check out my shorts channel. I upload there every other day. And until next week, goodbye!